Today, a Dominican priest appears to Princess Eugenie from Purgatory, and it's the first soul I've seen that ever actually offers something to her in terms of does priestly duties to help her while she's struggling. You really are wanting to get your hands on this book, My Conversations with the Poor Souls. It's the diary of Princess Eugenie von der Leyen. I will put a link to the book in the show notes so that you can get your copy too. Oh, and as always, remember to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. September 5th, 1925. Now the other shadows dissolve. A Dominican came up to me, his face still unrecognizable, a gray lump. He is quite calm, but mumbles unintelligible words, seemingly in Latin. He was with me all night. I was so sleepy I overslept and missed Holy Communion. That's how I am. I'm always worrying about my body, undisciplined and mentally lethargic. September 10th, nothing new. The Dominican is not to be feared, but very much there. On the way to the sawmill, I met a woman who had nothing special about her. As she passed me, I heard her cry, "Mercy!" I turned around and only then realized that it was a poor soul. The eyes are so different. There were workers in the field, so I pretended I had lost something and asked quietly, "What can I do for you?" She said, "Pray a lot." As I looked closer, I realized that it was Rosa B's mother. "Are you Therese B?" She said, "Yes." I said, "But you lived so well." She said, "All pretense. Only in the hour of death was I true." I asked, "Shall I tell your daughters?" She said, "No, you can help." "But I have to help so many with my poor prayers. You won't get much of it." And she said, "When love gives, small things becomes big. Small things become big." She was gone. September 13th, the Dominican is a father I knew well. He is a Frenchman. Was there for a long time, and he nodded to me as I began to pray. September 17th, I was very sad about something in the evening and cried. Then a hand fell on my head. I looked up. It was the Dominican. He said, "Why are you crying?" I said, "Because I'm not happy with myself." He said, "Why don't you tell me everything?" I said, "Can you help me?" He said, "I want to." I said, "I'm so afraid for my soul. The will to do good can't be enough, and I can't get any further." He said, "If you don't sin, you cannot perish." And I said, "But I sin. Can't you see my soul?" He said, "No, but the way to you is clear. Otherwise, we wouldn't have come. We couldn't have come. Have faith and be humble." I said, "How can I help you?" He said, "By mortification." Then he stayed a long time. It's not scary at all. It's the first apparition that began to speak without being asked. On September 27th, he was there a long time. I asked, "Please tell me if we see God right after death." He said, "Yes, a trembling of the soul in worship, and then a sinking into purification." I said, "Can't you tell me more?" He said, "No, the more you love God, the greater the happiness. Strive for it." I said, "Do you need a long time until you are completely clean?" He said, "No." September 29th, 3 times I have seen in the church an old woman in front of the altar of the Mother of God, but I don't know her. The Dominican was there a long time. I said, "Tell me, through what can you save your soul?" He said, "Through firm faith and humility." I said, "Is there anything I can do to stop the poor souls from coming?" He said, "No." "But if I didn't pray for you all anymore?" He said, "They would force you." I said, "Can I summon a soul I want to know something about?" He said, "You have no power over them." Now, there is an asterisk here from her spiritual director. It says, "The spiritualists claim that one can summon the dead. If this holy woman who had such an ability to see the dead doesn't succeed, how can curious spiritualists do it? Or to put it another way, who appears at seances? October 1st. Something terrible is coming again. It seems to be an animal. I know this too will pass, but I am indescribably afraid. October 3rd, after the terrible thing, the Dominican came. I said, I'm glad you're coming. I was so scared. Do you know who was with me? He said, no, we go our separate ways. I said it was an animal. Why an animal? He said, you see the sin. Forget yourself and help. I said, what helps the fastest? He said, the sacrifice of your will. I said, why not the Holy Mass? He said, because they didn't believe in it. I said, but the others were helped immediately. He said, you cannot understand what God's righteousness is. I'm not at all afraid of the Dominican. I'm more comfortable when he comes. October 7th, the terrible thing is with me every night now. It's a big monkey, like before. Why do I keep having this terrible fear? Can't I get used to something like that? October 9th, unfortunately, the Dominican is not coming, but the other one is. October 10th, a horrible night. But perhaps that is also part of mortifying the will. So I just want to describe the facts and no longer whine. The monkey is as high as a door and rages around like a madman. He doesn't seem to hear praying yet. He came in by the window, which is always particularly spooky to me. He blows and snorts at me like a wild animal. He wanted to choke me, and I quickly put the cross of the dying on my neck. October 14th, the monkey comes daily, or even more at night. He was very strange. His fur was wet, like in the rain. The long arms clasped me, and yet I'm thankful it's a monkey, because if a snake came, I couldn't bear it. October 17th, the monkey is unbearable. His eyes are glowing. He stares at me. I have to admit that I've gotten braver. A year ago, I couldn't have endured it. I fell unconscious. When it was so miserable, the Dominican came and the terrible thing was gone. I asked, why didn't you come earlier? He said, you were surrounded. By what? By the poor man's agony. I said, yes, help me to rescue him. He said, I am not free yet. Then tell me what I am to do for him. He said, show him your love. I said, but I can't muster up any love for him yet. At most, compassion. He said, do what would be hard for you right now. I said, flog myself? He said, yes. October 18th, the Dominican came during the day. I asked, you said you are not free yet. Can I set you free? By what? And he said, give me 7 holy communions. I said, why didn't you tell me earlier? He said, because you gave them to others. I said, how can you know? He said, I saw them leaving you with their hands full. I asked, another soul told me she couldn't see the souls that come to me. How come you can? He said, we are different. The monkey was with me half the night, very restless. He sat in a corner for the longest time, and then he pounced on me like a bad dog. I yelled at him, you can't do that to me. Then he fell to the ground, jumped up and back onto me. So I punched him. My God, I won't do that anymore. He cried out in wild pain, and tears ran from his wild eyes. He crawled into a corner, whimpering. How sorry I was for being so hideously heartless. I did what I could and told him he could do as he pleased. And then I wrote the other day that I had more courage. If I had written that I had less heart, it would have been the truth. October 19th, when I played with Wolfram, the Dominican came. I said, don't frighten the child. He said, his innocence attracts me. The boy was really quite funny. He looked at the priest with pleasure, unbelievable and yet true. I said, please go away. Others are coming. He said, they can't see me. I said, why not? He said, they are in life. I said, but so am I. He said, but you belong to us. He bent over Wolfram and was gone. Why am I one of them? It's scary again. Remarkable stories, aren't they? I actually, instead of wanting to talk, want to ask you, what are your thoughts? What are you getting from these? How is this book changing you? I'm Dr. Christine Bacon. Thanks for listening to this Bacon Bit. And as always, remember to live your life sunny side up.